morning. Indeed, 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 indeed. I'm Joseph Cadore, and you say thanks and welcome to The Point. As amongst my guests this morning is President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Mr. Jude Bartholomew, and this morning there's a number of issues to be discussed as you would well anticipate. And we want to say thanks to Jude. Good morning, Mr. Bartholomew. How are you?
Good morning to you, Mr. Cadore. I'm fine, I'm good, and you? What about you?
I am wonderful, 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 as always. Indeed, it's a pleasure being here with you. I hope you had a rested weekend. Did you enjoy the cricket?
Yes, I had a rested weekend. Excuse me, in one sense. It was really, really good. Doing some reflection in terms of all the things that is happening, and such. But I'm very happy and delighted to be on this program, GBN program, this morning. And I would like to say thank you to GBN for the Grenada teachers the opportunity to express ourselves, and also to say good morning to the nation, to our citizens, and to persons listening on the worldwide. Thank you so kind.
Indeed, 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 indeed. I know there's a number of issues to be discussed. Pension, the regularization of teachers, all of the different things. But certainly I know there is the ongoing the issue, and I know you probably will. We want to touch this. While we don't want to put any above the other, but the issue of the violence, Mr. Bartholomew, that seemed to be pervading, becoming the prevailing atmosphere among our young people, school-age young people. Though I know certainly as a union, as a parent, as a teacher, it is a bit of a bother to you, isn't it?
Yes, before I start there, I just ask Almighty God to just bless this program, bless the hosts, and bless us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
But before I go to answer that question, I would just like to go back just a little, and then we'll take it from there, and I'll come up incrementally. We look forward, the Grenada Union of Teachers, all teachers, parents, students, the nation, in terms of the reopening of school in full, face-to-face. And it's a positive development in one sense, because I think the nation cried out, the teachers cried out, the students cried out, parents and everybody, with the frustration with the COVID-19 and with the children having to be online, the frustration for the students, the frustration for the teachers. And, it came up that, teachers and students weren't really learning effectively online. So that's a positive thing in one sense. But then going back to school now, face-to-face, created many challenges, and it seems as it appears that we always say that when you go back to school, the teachers and principals in school really are the ones who are faced with the challenges and the responsibilities and how to remedy situations. And we observe that the children, yes, they are excited, they are happy to come back to school. But what we also observe, we don't know if it's the pressure from the COVID-19 situation with children being locked down for a long period of time, and they really and truly couldn't interact and associate and those things, and miss the whole classroom setting. And all the many, for 2 years, you may say, the children would have missed out on the face-to-face interaction. If that would have created some challenges and problems for the students and also for the teachers, and you are seeing it playing out in real time. You are seeing it in school, you are seeing it on the street, you're seeing the challenges with students or students with police officers. I've visited school, the Grenada Union of Teachers, who have gotten, complaints that, children are becoming sort of deviant, violent in school, exhibiting certain behaviors, which could be probably the emotional and psychological pressures and stress that is coming out. And teachers, the situation we're talking to teachers, they are afraid. Some of them are frightened, to be in the classroom because they've got the children, lash out and such. Not all children, you have some children, they are well-behaved and everything. But I think it's a matter for concern for all with what is really happening, and the nation, entire nation is really seeing it. So there seems to be some psychological pressure, emotional pressure and stress, and the teachers and principals in schools that really have to deal with this matter. And also, we want to say also that we observe it is not easy for the children to settle down because, they are lagging behind probably in their work and such, and that demand. It seems that children now, some of the students have interest in basically the face-to-face and real learning. That is another challenge that we are seeing coming back to school. Like, it seems that children get accustomed in being home and those things. And these are some real problems. We're looking also at the pressure of the children and the teacher for the preparation of exams. And that is a number of factors that parents, the society, the Ministry of Education, and everybody have to take note of. Remember, we're in an abnormal situation with COVID-19, and here comes now, we come back to school, return to school. The children, the Form 5 students, so basically they lose out a lot for 2 years. They were in Form 3 basically when the COVID-19 situation, pandemic struck. And here now they are in Form 5. And we go back to school basically in full in January. These students now preparing for exams, the workload, the curriculum, the SBAs, the projects and things so heavy that demand. And it seems in our society and throughout the Caribbean and everywhere, what we put emphasis on is success. We put emphasis on the nation, children doing their exams and such, and they get all passes. We put emphasis on the teachers performing well. There are great pressures upon the teachers and principals and schools to do well. If you don't do well, you are labeled. And you have pressures, psychological and emotional pressures from all sides. And I could tell you, we met with teachers, and that whole discussion, the frustration from teachers. Some teachers feel they reach breaking point, boiling point. They cannot take it anymore. And they're getting it from the students to that frustration in terms of preparing for exams and that pressure. And so I think there is a problem. There is a real problem here. You know, so we're asking the Ministry of Education to take note of that. And it seems that this problem is just beyond counseling, just sending counselors in school to deal with that situation. So we're asking the nation, we're asking the government, we're asking parents, we're asking schools, we're asking concerned citizens, all right, to take note of what is happening with our young people and to try to come up with ideas. I think we need a harmonious plan with everybody coming together, teachers, principals, schools, government, citizens, and those things. And these are some of the problems that.
But do you get the sense, Mr. Bartholomew, because very often, whenever the union, on behalf of its teachers, they raise concerns, there's often that overarching sense that people seem to think, oh, there the union goes again. Why doesn't these teachers, now they're back in school, what are they fussing about now? So suddenly we get the sense, do you think that the average Jones, the average person, individual, understand those and appreciate those intricacies of which you've just spoken of?
I think you could be correct there. Probably the average person really and truly, don't understand. And I think basically what parents want and the society wants is children go back to school. Government wants that, Ministry of Education. So it appears that there should be a nice, pretty picture with a state of normalcy. But that is just compared to basically that you have a cut or a sore on the foot and a plaster and it's not really healing and nothing is done to deal with that situation. But this situation is playing out in real time. So this is different to, let's say, an industrial action or something so that the Grenada Union of Teachers or the teachers are taking. What we're saying that we look forward to go back to school. Teachers are doing a marvelous job. The kind of invaluable sacrifices that teachers are making, going right now behind the call of duty to prepare the children for exams. Remember, they're behind with the curriculum. The children, our students are behind with the SBAs, and even about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we had a meeting with teachers, and they're telling you that students are behind even with the SBAs and different things, and they're working hard to make up. They're working hard also to finish the curriculum. They don't know where to start, where ready to flip, where to end. So you can see what is happening there. It's not only that teachers are complaining, students are complaining, but you are seeing it in real time through the length and breadth of Grenada, Caribbean, and Pitman. And therefore, it is a matter for concern.
Break it down for me, because I don't want, it will be remiss of us that after we've ended this conversation, that at least we don't give people an appreciation. You highlight the fact that the students are behind on the SBAs. Contextualize for me the significance, the importance of the SBA as part of that examination process. What is it means for students, or what it means for students? What if a student doesn't complete their SBA, and its relevance to them sitting the exams and completing their fifth form year?
In fact, the SBAs are so important that basically the rules of CXC, if you do not complete an SBA, you will not pass the exam. And it's the SBA that really plays a very important role. In fact, probably more than 50% of the children being successful. So the SBAs are very important because it puts everybody on equal foot. Remember, there might be children who might just go into an exam room and pass an exam, all right, just one time. But at the same time, there are other children who really depend on the marks that they get, the grades and everything with the SBA to bring them up to standard and to put them on equal footing with everybody else. So based on how CXC basically rules, whether you're talking about CAPE, you're talking about CXC, talking about CPA, you must do all the projects and you have to do it if you want to be successful. And if you did not complete your project, then you would not pass that subject.
So failure to complete, basically it means that you're walking into an examination center almost doomed to fail.
Yes, you're walking almost doomed to fail. And that is why I'm telling you, even if the teachers right now are pressured, and that's why the teachers are really pressured, because the teachers are going beyond the call of duty. Really and truly, really have some heroic teachers in Grenada, in spite of the problems that they are going through, the psychological and emotional stress from the school environment and everything. No teacher really wants, the children to fail and such. And this is a motivating factor. Basically, with teachers, the love for the children, and such. And the teachers will do whatever they have to, even if they are stressed out and everything, and they know that the children are stressed out too, but they will do all in their power to make sure that each and every child really actually goes up with a great success for the SB and other things that they have to do. Success.
Those challenges of which you've highlighted, is this unique to Grenada? What's happening in the other islands?
Yes, thank you very much for saying that, because it comes in a context. I just recently came out from the Caribbean Union of Teachers Conference in St. Kitts, all right, in February. And that was the cry from almost all the different units in the Caribbean. All right, so we met in St. Kitts, and the discussion, you look at St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who had basically, they had the COVID-19, they had the volcanic eruption. And so you will see what could happen in that situation where they miss out, so much school, and so the teachers, basically the children, they won't be able to be present in school face-to-face for a long period of time. And imagine now, look at Jamaica, look at Trinidad, with a COVID-19 situation. Trinidad and Tobago is crying out too. Jamaica is crying out too. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And basically, what comes out of the meeting now, the conference from St. Kitts, is that it appears that some countries in the region try to create a state of normalcy in an abnormal situation. So what you have in now is that, remember, in the 2 years of COVID, the University of the West Indies, CXC, did push back the exams. They pushed back the exams. I think it starts somewhere in June. But now it appears that CXC is trying to bring it back, and the start of the exam is in May. All right, probably the first week in May. So which means that you start school later and you miss out so much. And then what is appearing with the additional pressure is a normal exam in a state of an abnormal situation. So the cry from the Caribbean Union of Teachers, the CUT, did approach CXC and wrote a letter to CXC stating that they're asking for these exams to be delayed by at least 3 weeks. Now, we had a meeting a few weeks ago with presidents of the Caribbean Union of Teachers, and they are saying, yes, 3 weeks might be reasonable, but in real time, 3 weeks is not even enough to make up for the SBA, persons who are doing technical subjects and all those things based on where they're. And what it appears, what we've been learning from CXC and the conference, is that there are some governments, Ministry of Education in the region, they are the ones who call the shots with CXC. All right, so CXC doesn't really call the shots on its own. So if the Ministries of Education and the Ministers of Education say to CXC, well, our country is normal, everything seems to be at least reasonable, okay, and they push for the exams, then we have a situation where CXC probably, so it's not always almost the Ministry of Education and the government of a country's fault only. What's happening is that although CXC gives some latitude to push back the exams within COVID-19, they feel right now it is the best thing to do to bring back the exams, make it be under normal circumstances where it used to be before, in the early start of May. And they gave their reasons why. They are saying when you delay the exams, if you delay the exams, you delay everything else for the students. You delay them from registering for college and universities and all those things. But then again, the teachers teachers, the principals, the various units, they are the ones that are feeling the pressure and they're saying, wait a while. It seems that the emphasis is just on exams for the children. It seems that at any cost, all right? So at any cost, the children must finish their exams, do their exams, but they do not take into consideration psychological and emotional stress and pressures that are taking place with the nation's children and taking place with our teachers. And another thing I would hasten to say, it seems that we are having very little discussion when governments and probably ministries of education in the region take the decision to approach CXC to have these subjects and these exams be put on a normal basis. You have very little discussion, and that's what comes out of the conference and the meeting that we have. Very little consultation with principals, with schools, with parents, with students as to get the feeling and whether or not they're in a state of readiness for the exams. And these are some of the challenging situations that we are facing.
So let me ask the question as we keep our eyes on the clock. 16 minutes gone past the hour. That let's just say the argument has been forwarded that to delay the exams is literally to put a reset button on all those other sequential events that is expected to happen, time CC, everything else. And what is the plausible workaround in terms that the union is suggesting?
Well, the union basically, as the Caribbean Union of Teachers, we take our cue from the Caribbean Union of Teachers. And the Caribbean Union of Teachers, wrote to the various units and the government asking them to push back and to CXC, to push back or to delay the exams for at least 3 weeks. Because even if you bring back the exam to a state of normalcy, no normal situation could make up for the frustration and the stress that teachers and students are going through. Because you can do an exam, yes, and it will backfire on you. The thing is that probably on the day of the exam, children may not even be able to perform. They may not be able to do anything. And then you're seeing the consequences of all those pressures playing out in society. And if we don't really deal with them. So we understand the situation. Yes, you're in a dilemma here, because one might say, yes, you push back or you don't push back. What will happen? But what we are saying is better late than never. It's better you delay probably 3 weeks and you make sure that you try to do all the best you can, and the children are less pressured, the teachers are really less pressured, and then to have it done. That is our feeling.
So that's the conversation that's happening at the level of children, teachers getting in preparation for CXC. What happens? What's the conversation re-CPEA?
Well, that conversation is basically same thing with CXC, with CAPE, CSEC, CAPE, and CPE. Our teachers who are getting ready, are the children prepared for CPE, they're also under pressure too, because they have to prepare the children. Remember, the grade 6 children were in school for a long period of time. Remember, just as the SBA that students have to do in the Form 5 for the exam to be successful, all the projects and such for grade 6, the children have to do it too. If they don't do it, all right, you know what will happen? They would fail. But in a local situation, let's look at the CP. One has to ask the question. We are in an abnormal situation. Is it really, really necessary this year for the children to do CPA to go to secondary school? And that's the question that a lot of persons are asking. That's the conversation that is really driving. With the children in the grade 6, is it really necessary? For the children to have to do that exams? The Ministry of Education, the principal, the school must have an idea about the performance of the children, what they have been doing for the time, and therefore they could gauge. So if one could say one and say the other, and we still have a...
But the conversation of universal education, I know that conversation, and you can probably, you're best in a position to appraise me as to exactly where that was. I know there was a conversation that started a couple of years ago. It was intention to eliminate that children would be assessed based on a continuous assessment process. Has that process been taking place? And if so, should it in fact be the perfect vehicle in this existing scenario that allows who should go through and who doesn't go through?
Yes, continuous assessment takes place in school. every fortnight or on a regular basis, even less than that. Some schools, they have their continuous assessment, so the grades are there. And so even if one doesn't do the CPA for 1 year, it doesn't mean that the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada cannot use a different mechanism to get the children to go to secondary school. So that's the thing that we're talking about.
Before we move on to, and you said there has been extensive conversation between the government, Ministry of Education, and the union on those issues. And what is the government's position? The ministry's position?
We have not yet discussed. The Ministry of Education basically did not really discuss anything with us so far with exams. And the meeting that you had with teachers, you hear the similar sentiments. We did call for a meeting with the Ministry of Education, so we are waiting a response on where do we go from here. And that should be an urgent meeting, so we're waiting to dialogue with them with this situation. But hearing from the teachers, with the meeting that we have, teachers are saying that when some of the videos and other persons come in the school, their emphasis is basically, have you finished the work? Where have you reached? And not really in terms of going on to find out, well, what is your emotional and psychological state? Or are the children in that state of readiness for the exams and so? So what the teachers are saying, yes, in spite of the situation, they're going to really try to prepare the children, because there is a possibility exists that the exam may take place as normal as it's scheduled. All right? But the teachers are saying that the Ministry of Education and government have to show a little more concern to the emotional and psychological state of teachers and students. And as a result of that, that's what we're saying. We find that the PTA should be involved. Parents should be involved. Schools should be involved. There should be a general conversation, because this is an important matter. And that was also. Yes.
I'm happy that you said it, because I was about to ask you what sort of, if there's been any consultative process with the parents to get a feedback as to what is it the parents are thinking across the nation. I mean, their students, their children getting ready in preparation for exams. Are they satisfied that, listen, my child has been is prepared sufficiently? What's the feedback from the parents on the ground?
Well, I directly cannot say what's the feedback from parents on the ground. Probably schools might be principals might be in a better position to say that, are the Ministry of Education, if there was any dialogue with parents. What I do know is that parents really and truly want the best for the children. All parents really look forward for the children to write exams and everything. It's a wonderful, time, and it's a proud moment, but sometimes they don't think about probably the consequences, especially in a time when we had, for example, in schools or campuses, where you have a suicide case and you have a number of factors with the pressure of children that we don't take note of, all right? And those are the things. So the parents have to come in here, probably discussions. And I don't know if it is this time around, but probably for the next time to come, we must have real proper dialogue with the union, with principals, with teachers, with stakeholders, with parents, and with the general society as a whole. How do we go forward with this thing so that everybody involved?
We want to move on from this. We'll be have to take a break. But I think as we put a cap on this segment, it is critical, because, you kind of get the sense that if we do not put a handle on this now, Mr. President, we've gone through the last, I think most people are reasonably comfortable in saying the worst has passed. I think reasonably we can say that, but I think I'm hoping that we can have a real genuine consultative process. Teachers, the parents, GUT, the Ministry of Education, so that we can answer the question, so that we don't go through this revolving door come next year again as to what happens with our children. Because I'm seeing if we don't, we are creating a void, not just in Grenada, but in the Caribbean, that 10, 50 years from now, we may then realize, wow, we've missed out on a whole lot of things. 24 minutes gone past the hour. You wanted to say something before we break?
Yes, I wanted to say something quickly before you take the break. Now, persons might say the worst have passed, but you have what you call the hidden COVID. I would term it as the hidden COVID, the real danger. That hidden thing inside, which is the emotional and psychological stress, which can be even more devastating and worse than COVID. You can see the symptoms of COVID, there are certain hidden things that you cannot see. And so we might take this thing for granted and say, yes, everything is normal. We are in a state of normalcy and such. And what is happening, the underlying current that is running is that you have a nation that is pressured with emotional and psychological stress, teachers pressure, students pressure, and those things going to backfire on us if we don't come as a society to look at the bigger picture and see what is happening. So let us not just look at the success of exams and children writing exams, but let us look at something that is deeper and all come together to see how we can resolve that problem.
But as I mean, beg my indulgence, though. But as a union, and having raised the concern, and you're a teacher yourself, what is the union proposing, or has it recommended, or offered to its teachers as a support mechanism to help deal with, address those concerns of which you speak? What is the union doing?
The Grenada Union of Teachers, since the inception of COVID, have been dealing with in terms of counseling for emotional and psychological pressure, which is members hiring professional counselors to deal with group sessions, not only on a national basis, but you have, branches, various branches. You have St. Patrick branch, St. George's branch, you have everybody pitching in to deal with teachers, because there are a lot of things that we don't know, but there are a lot of some teachers who are really, really stressed out and they need individual attention, and the same thing with parents. But I also would want to say that pressure goes deeper when you look at that situation in school. And that's what I'm saying. Let's take note. This is a very important section that we are doing here. Let's just take note of for a while. Usually what you see happening is that the teachers in the school used to be king. Teachers and principals used to be queen. These days, in these modern times, you find that in the sense that principals and teachers have no rights. The students have more rights than the teachers. And so therefore, sometimes if you try to correct a child as a teacher, you ask the child for homework, or you try to discipline the child and those things, it backfires. Sometimes parents, and not all parents, there are wonderful parents who allow the teachers to discipline in a nice way the children. There are some parents, again, from the time a teacher probably touches a child or discipline the child, you know what will happen. And all those things now cause teachers to be afraid in terms of really discipline and dealing with this sort of behavior. You are in a society where everybody becomes individualistic. It's no longer the community and everybody looking after the child and the family. So more pressure is placed here. Then you have another situation with the rights of the child. Everybody, every organization all over the world, just look at the rights of the child without responsibilities. And so it seems that sometimes it appears that in some cases, the children can do whatever they want and nobody could pull back. And these are things that society must have checks and balances in place, not only about the rights of the child, but what's about the rights of the teachers, what's about the rights of the principal, what's about, and all those things. And all these things we have to take into consideration, because if we do not address this thing holistically, then we're going to have a problem. Remember, these young people are the future leaders of Grenada tomorrow, Grenada, Caribbean, Pitimati. So we have to deal with the situation.
27 minutes gone past the hour. My guest this morning, President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Mr. Jude Bartholomew. We take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back right here on To The Point.
Join GBN on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. for Interesting Grenadians, a program that showcases the lives of interesting and outstanding Grenadians at home and abroad. It's Interesting Grenadians every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on GBN. Don't you miss it.
International friendly Grenada versus Andorra comes to you compliments Powerade, Republic Bank, Hubbard's Motor Department, Hills and Valley Pharmacy, and GUT Credit Union. Show the world that we belong. Thank Thank you. Good morning. Welcome back to the program, To the Point, for today, the 28th day of the month of March. I want to say thanks to our listeners and viewers wherever you are, and a special thanks to those of you that's on the different social media platforms. We say thanks for being part of the conversation. The number on the inside, 435-2041, as a return would make to my guest, the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Mr. Jude Bartholomew. Are we looking down the barrel of a shotgun, Jude? As we look at, if we take into consideration all that has been happening.
When you say a shutdown, I want you to elaborate.
Shotgun, not shutdown.
Okay.
In terms of the concerns that you've raised regarding the education process, and that's been punctuated, and its impacts, we talk about the residual effects, that lingering effects of COVID, not just on the students, the teachers, and that semi-revolving door that now exists. Are we looking on the barrel of a shotgun as a society with all of these different problems?
Yes, we're looking at that not just a shotgun, but like a time bomb that could explode, later on down the road. And therefore, that's why we say all persons have to, all and sundry on board, all right, so to deal with this situation. It is a very serious one, and I'm happy that we took the time off to give it the attention that it deserves, and I do hope that on the other side, everybody's taking note, whether from the government of Grenada, the Ministry of Education. We're not talking here about differences, or we're not talking about, challenging the status quo. What we are talking about is bringing out the situation for everybody to hear, so that we could have a collaborative approach, everybody to work together to see how we could alleviate the situation.
It's interesting we continue to have the conversation about dealing with the existing crisis. So let's just go to the telephone lines as it is. Good morning, caller. You're alive.
Yes, Mr. Cadore. Good morning. Greetings.
Good morning to you, sir.
Greetings to your guest. Listen, just an observation first, a critical observation. I heard your guest there enunciate a range of things that the students, information related to their psychological suffering and emotional suffering that they would have encountered. I urge this gentleman to pay attention to the use of that structure, because I know these things happened. They happened before our own eyes. That for critical observation. The second thing is this, Mr. Cadore, sir. Your guest has spoken of a range of problems which we had prior to COVID, problems which have augmented during the crisis. What I would like to ask the goodly gentleman is the following. Does your organization as a critical function or subsystem within the overall education system, can you put forward to us and to the ministry any proposals, concrete proposals towards a gradual mitigation of such problems towards a solution? We know that it cannot be resolved immediately, but I'd like to hear at least one concrete proposal for a possible resolution of these problems. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, will you?
Thank you very much, caller. Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, the gentleman did echo his sentiments and his concern. The Grenada Union of Teachers, as a national executive and listening to its members, have always approached the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada to see how we can best come together to, remedy situations. We did say that probably approach the Ministry of Education and to give attention to counselors. We did ask for more counselors in school. Counselors alone would not alleviate the situation, but we did note even the last time, even during COVID-19 situation, that there are a lot of counselors who do not have the devices and other things to be able to even reach out online to deal with the students and even with the teachers. And then we're in a situation where sometimes one counselor to solve hundreds of students and even probably, teachers. So I think we have, as I did say, we have a very important meeting, and we called for a meeting with the Ministry of Education. We did not get an answer as yet, and such will dialogue to see how we could put a more concrete proposal out where we can take it from here with both sides. In the meantime, I did say that the Grenada Union of Teachers have been doing what it can to counsel, its members and such, and even reaching out to students, because we have to make sure that if the teacher is not in a state to really teach and is not healthy and well, all right, so teaching Asian children, that is another problem. So we asking other persons in the society, persons who are trained counselors, persons, professional agencies and different things to take note and to see how probably we can have a dialogue with probably the nation to see how we go forward in terms of dealing with this situation.
But besides the individual offerings that you make as a union, do you have a document? Do you have a prepared document that you can say, listen, we've put this document together that we've presented, that we will present to government, or we would like to present to government?
Yeah, we take note of that, and that we will do. Our executive are listening, and such. And that is a wonderful idea. So we take note of those things.
Let's go back to the telephone. 435-2041. That is a number that is on the inside. We continue to highlight a number of issues, and there's always going to be the issue of the dock salaries and the regularization of teachers. But there's a caller on the line as well. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Good morning, Mr. Jones. Good morning,
Good morning, Chief Caller. Go ahead, please.
We the parents, we're not saying no. The teachers do not have rights to correct the trend. It's not what they do, it's how they do it. Most of the teachers, they take advantage of the children in the school, which is not good.
When you say take advantage, can you give us an illustration of what you refer to as taking advantage of children?
Okay. Last week, my friend's daughter goes to the school next to Mother Rose, that school next to convent. The teacher called the mother on walk and tell her, look, the principal, called the mother and told her, look what the teacher did. Not knowing the police have to get involved. The teacher actually thumped the child 7 times in her back. You understand? So the teacher coming to work with the stress from home and taking it out on the children in the school. That is not good. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you, caller. Without even knowing the specifics of that situation, I mean, that, of course, is an issue for concern. But I'm not sure, and you could probably comment as to whether or not that is the that translates to a reflection. That's a reflection of what happens across the teaching fraternity. What say you?
Yes, I listened to the caller there. I'm not aware of that situation. I'm saying that in any situation or instances, if a teacher basically abuses a child, that is wrong, and we will not condone that. But on a normal basis, there are teachers, and that is just an abnormal situation, because basically, one person could spoil the whole situation, and we are aware of that. One bad apple can spoil the whole bunch, or the whole basket. But in general terms, teachers go beyond the call of duty, and these are some of the things that people look at, the sacrifices that teachers make. Even let's take, for example, the lunchtime. We took it for granted when we have that industrial action, when we said we're going to go outside for our lunch. It wasn't really that we meant it, because we know what the teachers do in terms of helping the children to get a lunch, but people take it for granted. Everybody's entitled to their 1 hour lunch. The teachers sit down in the school during the lunchtime, sharing sometimes lunches, correcting papers, doing all those things. When 1 o'clock they're hungry. So teachers go beyond the call of duty for the students. And if one thing happens and such, yes, we have to deal with it. But on a normal basis, that does not take away from the fact fact what is happening now, and we are seeing that teachers more or less sometimes are afraid to deal with situation because it seems that all the time everybody comes down on the teacher, and the pressure in dealing with that, sometimes you just have to let things go haywire. And when I say you might be afraid to deal with a situation and rather just to have peace, and so you probably just let it slip by, and all those things would come back to mind. So this is a situation that we have to look at all factors, but by and large, the teachers are doing a marvelous job and going beyond the call of duty, making that extra sacrifice to do what they have to do to prepare the children and to make sure that the children are successful, and the teachers will continue to do that.
We have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I've been listening to this program with the about teachers, and I'm a retired teacher, right? And what I heard hearing about this woman there, what she's saying, I don't think this is right to talk about teachers. I've taught all my years, and we as teachers, we really take care of children. I myself personally take care of a lot of children. Look, I leave school and you will see parents and telling me, Teacher Margaret, you go to school. I'm not afraid to call my name. Joseph, you know me well too.
I thought a voice sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Good morning.
You know, and it is so hurting this one to hear what this lady saying about teachers. Come on, we do such a wonderful job in take care of people, children. Sometimes you bring your things from home, you share it with the children. Anything you have, you bring it, you share it with them. You know, you always put the children first. And it's really, really heartbreaking to see what this young lady is saying about teachers. I listen to her voice, and she seems as though she's not truthful. Anytime you see that staggering in between them, she's telling lies, because things like this will reach the Grenada Union of Teachers to take up what is happening there. And parents must come clean, because we as teachers, we really, really, really take care of children. We don't let children suffer. Children come to school without calling their nose, this, that. You have to wipe them. So they put themselves. You have to clean them up. We don't let them wait for parents to come for them and let them call parents. This is so sad to hear. Anyway, you have a nice day, and Grenada Union of Teachers will still rise, and we rise to the top. God bless you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Teacher Margaret. Continue enjoying the retirement.
Yeah, you too. Say hello to the family.
Take care. Okay. 435-2041, that's the number that is on the inside. President?
Yes, I don't have anything else to say. I think she crumbed the icing and the cake, and she did it well. There is nothing for me to say there. I think we can move on to regularization until we have another one.
Well, we do have a caller. We do have a caller that is on the line. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Greetings. How is everyone?
Wonderful, thank you. Go ahead, please.
The guests and hosts and all who are listening. Now, this issue about education and the problem that is raised, or the host of problems, is not unique to education, but wide throughout nationally. And then it's very appropriate when you, the host, ask the question about the looking in the barrel of a shotgun, and then the guest talk about a time bomb. I want to place on record here that the guilty parties, or the one who is holding the shotgun and setting the time bomb, is no less than the governing administration. And this, to me, is supported by the fact that your guests make it clear that educational bodies such as the CXC, they are more or less controlled or directed or influenced by the regional governments. And we have to understand that. The issue of education is a problem that have been there years back, and not only confined to this year because of COVID and the examination. And the conspiracy that has been happening years back, which is reflecting today, and it will get worse. There may not be any solution. There may not be. One, in terms of a strong National Student Council, this is out the door. In terms of a strong Parent Teachers Association, this is out the door. How come could we talk about consultation and stakeholders? There's nothing like that. Now, even you, the union, you have a lot of work to get done. And the host rightly asks you if you have any documentation of your proposal to government, and to be steadfast towards it. And you said that you will take it on. But let me also point out here, you said that you have been out there about 2 months ago or last month in this regional teachers association meeting. And come on, nothing in the print or electronic media that the general population have any information about the outcome of such important meeting. Nothing like that. You also, apart from the regional news, you have a responsibility to echo it locally. I can tell you, I sympathize with the parents. I sympathize with the children who are going through now. I sympathize with the teachers. But it's how we handle it. Okay. And we let the administrative people take control and they fragment us. We are weak. They cripple us. And I'm saying here that when the COVID situation comes, we lose the boat a year or two ago. We all time calling for national debate, but when COVID comes, we miss it. Only lip service. And I was saying to myself, one, in terms of going forward, CXC should have been approached and for them to moderate the syllabus in such a way there are a lot of irrelevant stuff, both for SBA and projects and the context, which could have eased the burden on the students based on the limited time that COVID presents to us.
Okay, sir.
Also, this year, it appeared that the Form 5 students had it rough last year with COVID. But don't forget, it is the Form 4 students who have it rough. And they're the ones to suffer this year. And look, the government forget the regional bodies. The government, our Grenada government, allow CXC to go back to the normal times of writing examination. I know teachers who are going through sweat and tears trying to get their children prepared. Okay, it's too bad. And I will end with a job more to say, look what happened last year when CC students were trying to get support to go forward with their concerns. In my analysis, government did give them no support. People in Barbados, I think, have taken the CXC to task. What is Grenada doing? We need to have a strong force. If we have our stakeholders, the parents, the teachers, and students together, then I think things can change forward with you, the president. But we have weakened ourselves and caused the administration to weaken us.
Thank you, sir.
Come on, let us see how we can change that if we could. No new government could change it. It depends on the people. Let us put education straight, or else we are in doom. And may God ask, I pray for God's spiritual blessing upon us.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, I couldn't hear the last caller because it seems that there was a drop in the voice. But I think the previous caller, he did echo some strong sentiments. There are certain things that you have the protocols. The CUT did have a press release and released the information, and it went out. So a lot of times too, one will say, well, yes, the Grenada Union of Teachers should do this and that, but that was really out. And the journalists and such in Grenada and different persons have to do their research on all those things to find out what is going on. Not putting the blame here, but it seems that these are things and opportunities for journalists to do what they have to do some research and such to find out what is taking place. But we will do what we have to do also.
What I can say to you is that when an entity travels, we don't know unless you tell us. And we would not know unless you say to us, I've traveled, I am traveling, I have returned, and I've brought good news. That is back with good news. But we are going to leave that there.
I like that you leave that there. We don't have to travel to know what is taking place. Right here, journalists to know what is taking place.
But I think the underlying point that is made here is that there need to be greater effort on all parts in terms of the dissemination of information and for greater transparency and communication with the general public, or with all and sundry, as a matter of fact.
And I'm in total agreement with that. I'm going forward.
I have a caller that's on the line. Okay, we lost the caller. 435-2041. Mr. Bartholomew, 14 minutes on to the hour. The regularization of teachers, another hot topic on the inside?
Yes, I would like to, and I would like to say, and just to go back a little to raise my point and concern here, in the preparation of exams for students, you have the temporary teachers and the permanent teachers, everybody working together. There is no separation with temporary and permanent. In fact, the temporary teachers are in the secondary school and the primary school, and they are doing a marvelous job, making that sacrifice. And on the basis of that, the government of Grenada did put on record and to say at the first quarter of the year, and the first quarter of the year is the third month, January, and March. and we are now approaching March 31st, and the government did put on record that they're going to solve this problem of regularization and making teachers permanent, all right, by the third quarter of the year. So we are waiting, and teachers are calling every day, calling the union, calling me, and they are looking forward from March 31st when the government we hope that they will keep their promise in terms of regularizing teachers. Teachers are permanently temporary, and that is for a long period of time, and those teachers are working. So they will be really disappointed if regularization did not take place come March 31st. At the same time, it's a matter for social and economic justice. It will be a good thing for the teachers. It will motivate them, inspire them to continue making that sacrifice, especially preparing the children for exams and going beyond. It will be a good economic boost for the government of Grenada, the Ministry of Education, to know that take on their responsibility in providing job security for their members, not only teachers, but other public officers, nurses, doctors, and all the other persons who are permanently temporary. So we are looking forward to March 31st, that date when the government did say that they're going to regularize teachers. And I know teachers are looking forward to that. Let's see what will happen.
We have a caller that's on the line. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Cadore, 5 seconds. I beg your humble indulgences. Listen, I'd like your guest to tell us of his union's participation in the upcoming what's his name again? Intercol games. Thank you. If they have any participation, and if their protest action still continues. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Thank you very much. I did take the opportunity to also heard about protest action and industrial action in Tamsisi at that time. Basically, the record, up to date, we really do not have basically industrial action or strike at Tamsisi. At the time, we want to make that record, put it on record and make it clear. However, also before I go to what the caller is saying, there are some grievances that have been taking place in Tamsisi for a long period of time. And so we did approach council and did approach the Tamsisi to address these matters before this thing get out of hand. What you have in Tamsisi is a situation where lecturers for over 10 years, these are duty members, have not had an increase in salary. And we ever hear that teachers, other public officers, and everybody, whether private or public sector, have always have an increase in salaries. It is unfair, unjust, and unfortunate. And we're asking for this thing to be resolved and to try to be resolved peacefully. We have a situation with increments on lecturers at the college from since 2016. Yes, the government of Grenada did announce big and bold that they got how much? They only got 75% of 2016, that is going up to 2020, 2021, 2022, and probably 25% to be paid. So when you hear the news and hear all those things, it's only just a small group of lecturers and other persons that are getting increment. What about all the other lecturers at the college? I mean, for 10 years, to add insult to injury, we did when the government, and we want to thank the government again to place on record, that they did a wonderful thing during the Christmas time of giving the half salary to workers. We did approach council, we approached the government of Grenada, probably to the Ministry of Education, even if Tamsisi is not directly under them. But these workers and lecturers work hard too during COVID-19, and we asked them to do something to see if they could give the lecturers and other person a small package, and they are hurting too because they did not get anything. So you have over 10 years, they did not get an increase in salary. They did not receive the half payment as everybody else, and a number of factors with the pension and all those things. So we asking the government of Grenada, the Ministry of Education, we asking council and all those involved to deal with this situation and such, because I would not say much more on the matter to go in depth, because we did approach council in terms of trying to address the situation. Okay. So there are certain things I cannot say. In terms of Intercol, the Grenada Union...
But before you go to Intercol, maybe you could just do the 2-in-1, because I have a caller that is online, that is holding. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Hi, good morning. I heard Mr. Bartholomew speak about regularization of teachers, and I'm just inquiring if he has any information relative teachers who would have completed the Tamsisi teacher education program 2020 and before, who have not yet been upgraded. We were promised 3 months, January, February, and no March, and we are inquiring, if he has any information as to when we would be upgraded, or whether government stands regarding teachers' upgrades, because it's a little unfair for you to have gone to school, done your path. I don't know if the public is aware, teachers, we have signed our bond forms and all of that, and we have kept our half of the agreement, and we are still awaiting some word from the government of Grenada. Cost of living is rising. We have our family to take care of, and we are doing our jobs. Like Mr. Bartholomew said, we are going above and beyond, and we are still awaiting some answer relative to our upgrade and retroactive payments. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. So maybe you can probably address both in one first, starting with the issue of intercall.
Teachers from TAMCC, those who were successful since 2020, they weren't upgraded. However, we got word that these teachers basically, the process they have gone through, and they would be upgraded this month. So I think teachers for that period, 2020, will be receiving the letters soon. So that is something that seems to be solved, and we want to take the opportunity to thank the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada for that. But we're still going a little further. There are teachers in 2021 who have completed Teachers College, TAMCC successfully, and nothing as yet. We also want to put on record here not only regularization, but teachers who have done the masters and the bachelor's, the bachelor program. These teachers have taken loan. The government of Grenada, the Ministry of Education said to these teachers, we want you to upgrade yourself, develop yourself. Teachers take the loan, they take everything, they put everything on the line. And now some teachers finish the program since in 2015, 2016, 2017. And these teachers, some of them, or most of them, did it on the priority list. The Ministry of Education have a priority list, which means if you study in those areas, you shouldn't be having any problem or any delay in your upgrade and to receiving your financial remuneration. So we are calling on the government of Grenada, and we are asking the Ministry of Education, we're asking Dr. Kit Mitchell, the Honorable Dr. Kit Mitchell, to really try to deal with this matter so that let's have social and economic justice. So we don't have to go the extra mile in doing, we always have to march on the street and do all those things to really get justice and economic and social justice for our members. Okay. Teachers with their bachelors, with their masters, TAMCC, and regularization. We're looking forward for all these promises by March 31st.
Looking forward for all those promises in just a matter of days. You expected that you did not touch on the issue of intercall. The GET you're in.
So the Grenada Union of Teachers, based on the situation with our industrial action since in 2018, and the government unceremoniously taking teachers' money, darkening our salaries. So we teachers come together and said that we put in the process, we worked to rule, and we took a stand. And as far as the Grenada Union of Teachers know, we met with our members, and they did give the okay and the right of way for the work to rule to continue. Now, we did sort of go slow with the work to rule during the COVID times because we understood the situation online and everything like that. So our stance from the Grenada Union of Teachers is that the work to rule will continue. We have an idea and we see what is going on. We heard about on the television and such, and news medias and first briefing that sports, interval games and such. We would not be, we know that sometimes teachers is involved and all those things. In every situation, you still find out, though the teachers are aggrieved, some teachers really, they go beyond the call of duty just for the children's sake. We would not be running in the pasture, running in the stadium, or running in the playing field beyond teachers to tell them, don't take part in sports and do those things. But we just want to put on record that the Grenada Union of Teachers work to rule is still in effect. And we are making a plea here. We did write a letter to the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister from the Grenada Union of Teachers, asking him, imposing on him to try to resolve this situation with the work to rule so that everything can go back to normal for the children's education's sake and for sports and everything which the nation loves so dearly. And to remember also, the Grenada Union of Teachers and its members are not anti-sports. It is the Grenada Union of Teachers. When it comes to Olympics and everything like that, so the government takes the glory. But the whole nation and the government forgets. It is the teachers that sweat in the pasture in the playing field for sports, whether branch sports, parish sports, whatever the games, and train up these children. The resources from the teachers, who some persons are saying that the teachers are committing injustice and so bad. It is the teachers' dues that support sports, parish sports, primary school sports, even sometimes even as far as secondary school games and all the other programs, athletics and other programs, that the Grenada Union of Teachers spends its money to develop the nation's children holistically. So it's not only about fighting for monies and all those things that we do. The record is there that the Grenada Union of Teachers go beyond the call of duty to shape the nation's children well-rounded. We're talking about sports and games, education, and everything that we do. We put our resources together and invest in the nation's children. And we're asking the government of Grenada to let reason prevail, to let conscience prevail. Do the honorable thing. Don't feel timid or to feel, well, if you pay back the dark salary, that you're going to look bad or look weak or anything like that. So, Mr. Honorable Prime Minister, you're going to be stronger for it. You're going to be stronger for it in terms of that you can even say that you do it for the nation children's sake, so that we can settle this thing and move forward. And that is our request. We don't have to always march up and down and do all those things for little situation. Do the honorable thing and pay back the dark salary to the teachers and to public officers, and let us move on. Let us have industrial peace and everything in Grenada, Caribou, and pretty Martinique. It's good for the teachers, it's good for the children, it's good for the parents, it's good for investment, and it's good for everything else. Listen.
Thank you very much. I think this should be my final caller for the morning. Good morning, caller. Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Yes, you're almost out of time. Go ahead quickly, please.
Yes, I would like to say I believe that some of those teachers, they are doing a good job, a great job, if I should say. But there are some that are not, and we have to face the fact there are some teachers that do abuse children, and we must face it and realize that it is happening. Sometimes we don't want to face those things, but it is happening. And there are some beautiful teachers that try to help them children with everything that they can. But I think sometimes too we talk about teachers and teachers doing this and teachers doing that. But if that is the case, and we like sometimes we put the parents off. Some parents are doing even more than we think, because why do you think that sometimes teachers have to asking parents to do this and do that sometimes? It has some parents that are not doing anything, but there are some that are doing their best and their children is progressing. So we must learn to realize. And then something a teacher said a while ago, it's like the lady was speaking and sometimes she will stop, but there are times when you want to put words together and you may not have the words to go fluently, so you believe that the person is lying. But there are a lot of things that is happening, and we need to face it, and it is happening now. We go to interview those children, a lot of them will tell you what they are going through under some teachers that have stress and have their problems, that they bring it and put it on them as children.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this final caller probably encapsulates, puts into greater focus everything that we've been discussing this morning. Mr. Bartholomew, there's stress in the classroom, stress away from the classroom, parents stressed, teachers stressed. Everybody seems to have a lot to deal with. How do we turn the corner on what could potentially be a ticking time bomb?
I really think that we call for a dialogue. And teachers did suggest that they was the PTA, the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada. We must have real debate, panel discussions. We must do the research, come together. The nations, there are different agencies, and now is the time to do that, to see how we can reform probably even the education system. A lot of the times, even from the Ministry of Education, they are trying. We put on a record that they are trying. In fact, while I'm sitting here, if you look at the background and such, you see some wonderful computers here. All right, so the Ministry of Education and such, and we just want to say kudos. So not because we talk about the negative, which means that we are against the Ministry of Education, we are against government or anything like that. What we're saying is that we must meet, we must discuss. And it seems as the Ministry of Education, the union, everybody, we must move beyond just confrontation and just words, and to get into serious planning and to chart the way forward for education and to implement things. Because it seems what we're doing here, there, and everywhere is just on the surface. And if we just do things temporarily, we're going to just be like a recurring decimal and spinning top in mode. So I think there is room for discussion from the nation and from everybody. And at the same time, I know that we're running in time, all the time here. And so jumping from that, I also want to take the opportunity to touch a little on the pension.
Well, I don't think we probably be able to do much, because we're already 3 minutes gone past the hour. But I'm going to allow you the liberty of 2 minutes just to let us know where are we with the pension, with the pension situation.
Yes.
We can't go too much in
We
depth.
know that the pension matter is in courts, and we patiently are waiting. So we're just saying to teachers and public officers, do not lose hope to pray. We just want to say that it is becoming worse for teachers and for other public officers. Teachers in their 50s and not even 60s, they are sick, some with cancers, with terminal illness and such, and all those things, and they have to come to school. They really want to retire, but they have to wait until 60 to get NIS benefits. And such. So it is not correct to say that the government is giving 70% of NS and benefits together for the teachers and public officers. The NS alone is just 60% and government is just 10%, and nobody could live by that. We're asking the government of Grenada, Dr. Kit Mitchell, do the honorable thing. That will be your legacy. That will be your legacy to restore pension for us, even while you can do it, even though the matter is adjudged in the courts. And we're asking the NDC government, we're asking the other political parties, come out and tell the nation and tell the workers, public officers and teachers, what you're going to do for us to restore pension. It's not just the government of Grenada. We want to hear from all and sundry, Tom, Dick and Harry. Put it on the table to us and say to us what you're going to do to restore pension for us and to get rid of this social injustice and economic injustice that has been done to public officers and all workers and people. And we are fighting for the pension to lay the foundation for workers to come, the Imanis and the children unborn, because if we don't get, they wouldn't get to, and they will be worse off from us. We call on the nations and every citizen. You are the ones who pay us pension, and the citizens of Grenada, not the government. Pension was enshrined in the Constitution of Grenada, and it's the citizens that reward its teachers and public officers for a job well done for taking care of their children. We ask for the nation to cry out to government as a matter of injustice to restore pension for public officers and for teachers. Thank you so very much, and may God bless everyone.
The cries out, who would hear and answer the cry? Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew, President of the Grenada Union of Teachers. This is where we bring the curtains down on today's edition of To The Point. Indeed, it was a pleasure being here with you as always. For all of our listeners, our viewers, those who participated on social media, those on WhatsApp, those on Facebook and YouTube. Indeed, it's always a pleasure being here with you. Until then, so long, everybody. JC loves you. Have yourself a really wonderful one.